What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Boxcar Cove. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, I want to start off this video saying hi and thank you to all the new subscribers. It's been a while now, but we have over 1,500 subscribers. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. You guys are the best. And I kind of want to explain to the new people as well. In a normal video of mine, I go fishing and I drag you along. But every once in a while, I'll do a video where if I get enough questions about a certain subject, I'll do a video about it to get some information through to you, my viewers. And this is mainly because I've been getting quite a lot of questions about bass fishing. And spring, of course, is a very good time for any angler to get on some bass. The fish come up from the deep waters to the shallows for spawning. So yes, it is spawning season. So with that, I would like to point out that during the spawning season, it is a great idea to release any fish you catch, whether it be bass or some carp, catfish, even bluegill. These fish are up shallow to spawn. If you remove them from the water, you're going to damage our fishing supplies down the line. So I would like to ask that you consider releasing any fish you catch during the spawn season. Now at the moment the water temperatures aren't quite right yet, but I want to do this video now because over the next coming few weeks there's going to be some changes and different things happening here on the channel. You're going to have to watch some of the next videos to see what I'm referring to. But I want to get this information out to you guys so you can also get out there and try and catch some bass. Now why did I choose this particular spot? Well, basically a year ago, right next to the rock we see there, I caught a 3-pound bass. At the moment, no water in here. You can see how far the water has gone back, and that's going to be a big problem when trying to find fish, lower water levels. So if I want to show you what you need to be looking for when trying to find fish, we need to get down to the water. Alright, ladies and gents, I would like to point out that by no means am I an expert when it comes to bass fishing, so this is just my 2 cents worth. But I've had enough questions about people trying to find bass that I think I need to do a video explaining some of the things I'm doing when I'm looking for bass. Now the first thing I would like to point out, when doing bass fishing, it's best to have some polarized sunglasses. It helps you to see into the water. So yes, it does protect your eyes from the sun, but it also does help you see into the water. It takes the glare off the water so you can see better into the water. And when it comes to bass fishing, it's important to see what the fish are doing. Now the first thing you need to know is that it's all depending on water temperatures. The magic number out there seems to be 65 degrees. And of course, each and every body of water is going to be different. If you take, for instance, Lake Sahara, at the moment, if you go there, you will already see bass on the beds. Whereas here at Lake Mead, we're not at the right temperatures as of yet. The fish are a bit deeper in at the moment. They're not up on the flats yet. All right, but let's say the fish are up shallow. You have your sunglasses, you can actually see the fish. What is it we're looking for? Well, you need to understand that just like people have different personalities, different likes, so too the fish are completely different. Some prefer mud, some prefer rocks, and this goes across the board with all things, even something like water depth. I have found fish in 1 foot of water, but I've also seen some smallmouth bass down at 30 feet of water sitting on beds. So there really is no magical place to say this is what you're looking for. Certain fish like certain things and they can be found all over. But if you're looking for a specific number, especially here at Lake Mead, I don't think the fish are going to be in 1 foot of water. You have no guarantee that this water is going to stay where it is. It drops a lot quite quickly. So maybe these fish will rather be somewhere in the ranges of 3 foot to 12 foot of water. Now I've also found that I tend to find more fish on the northern shores. I do believe the reason for that is just simply the way that the sun moves over. This is a side that's always in the sunlight, so the water might be warming up a bit faster than it does something in the shade. But the fish can be anywhere in the lake. Now it will be quite easy for me to say to you, if you go to a specific rocky flat area, you'll find fish there, and you will, but you will also find them in sandy places, in between grass, in between rocks, in between trees. But if you do think about it, any fish would like to build its nest or its bed in a safe place. Typically you'll be looking for a flat surface, somewhere in a cove. If you have some high walls on the side, that will prevent wind and stuff from disturbing the nest. So they tend to go into little coves. Now, of course, fish like cover, so if you're near any big boulders or rocks, great place for fish to be hiding. But you will also find them in open spaces, places where you tend to find carp, large open flats. You'll also find some bass there. All right, but now that we kind of know what it is we're looking for, let's talk about what we're going to use to try and find these fish. All right, so let's say we found a good looking spot. We got some rocks, there's a drop off and then a shelf. Great place for the fish to try and make their beds. Now, when it comes to bass fishing, the gear is rather important. You don't want to try and target bass using something like a trout combo or maybe a light setup or anything like that. If you only have something, for instance, like an ugly stick, you can catch them with it, but it's not ideal for catching bass. When it comes to bass fishing, you need something that has a bit more of a backbone, a sturdier rod, something where if you move the rod, it imparts action to your lure. If it's a flexible, bendable rod, it's just going to bend the rod and not actually move your lure in the water. Likewise, the moment you get a fish, you need to be able to set the hook to ensure that you get a proper hook set on the fish. Now, I don't know enough about all the different bass rods to make any recommendations out there, so I'd rather suggest doing some research, finding out what feels good to your price range. And of course, fishing a place like Lake Mead, the line you're going to be using is as important. I'm using some fluorocarbon line. Lake Mead is very clear. Fish can see your lures from a mile away. You don't want them to get spooked at what line you're using, so I'm going for fluorocarbon because it kind of disappears in the water. Using anything that goes onto the bottom, for instance, I have a little Ned Rig on here. This is something that I throw out there and maybe drag it towards me. If I can see the bed, try and drag it through their bed as well. A lot of fish get angry if something approaches their bed, but I also have seen fish that don't care if anything goes through their bed at all. They're not interested in any lures on the ground. You can always go for something like a little shaky head or any other type of worm imitations, whether it's a Sanko or maybe a Sanko on a Texas rig or anything. Any worm presentations down on the bottom. The last little one I want to look at for fishing on the bottom is using something like a craw imitation, whether that be something like a bandito bug or maybe some craw jigs, anything that looks like a craw. Maybe also try and dragging that through their beds. They sometimes grab off the little pincers, but sometimes they grab the entire thing. These are the types of things I would use on the fish's bed, dragging it through their beds, trying to get a reaction out of them. That is why it's important to see the fish so you can see how they are reacting to the thing you are throwing around the bed or on the bed. If they're not paying any attention to any of these little things, then you need to change your tactics. It's always good to have on your second rod a different way of trying to get these fish to bite. You'll see here I have a big swim bait in bass colors, and this is quite important, the bass coloration on this thing, because this time of year the fish are highly territorial. Now, it's not like all the fish spawn at the exact same time. You can find them in different phases, but generally speaking the males are the first ones to come up shallow, and they're trying to find the perfect spot for a bed. And that is why they're territorial. They'll chase away other fish to try and keep their spot. That is why something like a baby bass pattern is a good way to get them to strike on your little lure. But be warned, however, this one I have here, this is only something I'll throw if I see something like a 4-pound or bigger bass. That's something I'll throw towards it. If you watch the fish in the water, if there's another fish nearby, what they normally do is they grab onto the little tail part. They're not grabbing the entire thing to eat it. They're just grabbing the tail to get it to go away, to get out of their territory. And when you have a smaller fish grabbing this tail, it's not necessarily going to be near the hooks, whereas a big fish might grab the entire thing. That is the same problem I have with using something like a little paddle tail. Great way to imitate another bass coming into the territory. But again, you'll sometimes get that they bite off the tails. They never go for the actual hook unless it's a bigger fish trying to swallow the entire thing. So my solution to this is going for something like this, where the tail part is actually a hook. That way, if they go for the little tail, they're going to get a hook in them. And of course, in lots of places where you have crawls in the water, going for something with a red pattern, it's a great way to get the fish. There's something about the red that they just lash out at. You need to remember that the crawl spawn is also linked to the temperature, and they kind of coincide. If you're seeing the fish and they're not chasing away other bass out of the area, and they're not going for any slow moving Ned rigs or crawl imitations on the bottom, you can always go for bluegill or sunfish patterns. You need to remember that these fish also come up shallow, but they do also prey on the eggs of the bass. So a lot of times these fish will lash out at any bluegill patterns this time of year. When they approach their beds, they're going to lash out at these fish. And that brings me to a little square bill. Now what's great about the square bill, this little thing goes onto the bottom, onto the rocks, and it bounces off the rocks. It looks like a little bluegill or something trying to feed on a nest somewhere. And this erratic bouncing off the rocks and jumping off the rocks, the bass love that. That is why a square bill is a great thing to use in the springtime. Alright, but these are just some of the lures that I'm using to try and find the fish and try and get a reaction out of the fish. It's never just one specific lure that you're trying to get the fish on. You need to look at the fish, see how it's reacting, and see whether you can get it to strike your lure. Alright guys, so that's quite a lot of information to take in all at once, but I don't want you guys to be missing out on any big bass up shallow. That's why I wanted to give you this information so you can get to the store, get some of these lures, maybe find a good rod. And at the end of the day, the idea is to get out here, have a good time, try something new, try and catch these fish. Now, like I said, I'm no expert, so anyone wants to add to this, please feel free to do so down in the comments. But I think for the moment, that's enough talking about the fishing. For now, I'm going to throw around some lures. Alright guys, we're hooked up on a fish, but he's putting up a decent fight. It's also got me stuck around some structure. Let's see if we can get him out of there. There we go, got him out of the rocks. Now we just need to land this fish. I could see the fish sitting between some rocks, threw a little Ned Rig in there, twitched it around, finally got him to commit. Just want to get to a place where I can try and land the fish. Problem I have at the moment, this mud here, it's very easy to sink in. But that's why I have the water shoes. Let's get into the mud. There we go. Decent little 2-pound bass. Quite skinny. I think this is a male waiting for the females to show up. Let's quickly get a measurement on this fish. Got the entire Ned Rig in his mouth. Alright, so I'm using my lip grips so we can keep this fish in the water for as long as possible. Make sure he's fine, breathing. Let's quickly get a weight measurement. And that's 3.4, 3.5 pounds. It's 1.38 kilograms. And again, a decent bass, first largemouth for the year. Nice decent size one, over 3 pounds. But we've given this fish enough stress for one day. I think it's about time we get him back into the water. Alright, little guy, thanks for biting. And off he goes. Alright guys, 2 quick tips. First off, if you can see the fish, they can see you as well. I had to hide behind a rock to try and catch that little fish. And secondly, that fish had us around some cover, went into the rocks. I can feel my line is frayed. Whenever catching big fish or getting snagged on some rocks or twigs or stuff, always check your line. I can feel this line is very frayed. So we're going to have to cut it off and retie. Alright guys, imagine me doing a video and the actual target fish shows up in the video. Now that's unheard of. I think definitely deserves a little like, but do not be fooled by this. I'm not saying if you come out here you are guaranteed to catch fish. That's not at all what I'm saying. You need to understand that it took me 2 hours of casting around to catch that one fish. But there is a big positive as well. I've been struggling to find fish up shallow. I did see something like 4 or 5 bass, but they're cruising around, they're not on beds yet. But that does mean that the fish are starting to move up, and I think within a few days these fish will start to find their beds. So by the time you guys are watching this video, it will be a good time to get out there and try and find some bedding bass. Now, as mentioned earlier, these are spawning fish, so it's very important to try and release them safely, but it is the best time to get out there to try and find bass. Now, I hope you survived this video getting through all of the information, and I do hope it helps you get on some fish. You can ask any questions down below in the comments if you are uncertain about anything. If you're new to this channel, consider hitting the subscribe button, joining my community. But I do think that's going to be a wrap for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and like always, I'll see you next time.